This is the second half of the first video here at the Bucks and Bulls, Springfield, Missouri. John O'Ban, Kansas, 258 net. Let's go down here and look at some of these big typicals. Well, here's a non-typical. The Jamie Remmers world record by woman. Gigantic rack. 257 in the 8th, 1997. I actually had the privilege to cape that deer out. Okay, so here's people's favorites probably, and yeah, I gotta admit it's beyond belief and beautiful. The John Breen buck, 1918, Beltrami County, Minnesota, 202 net, typical 10, with a ton of deductions and still nets that. That's an amazing whitetail deer. Good grief. And it's massive. Minnesota has spit out some of the biggest antlers of any state. Mel Johnson's world record typical bow kill, 204 4/8, Peoria County, Illinois, 1965. He set the bar high. That's a heck of a huge typical 6x6. It's a beautiful deer. Lloyd Gold. What are we looking at? 197 and 6/8, typical net. It's a very rare 7x7. You don't see 7x7s very often. 1962. Heck of a deer. Big. This is really something to see. I recommend everyone coming down and viewing this. Yeah, that one up there too, I gotta admit, it's one of my all-time favorites. Wayne Bills, 201 and 4/8, 1974. Big head. The Selling buck is also a giant. That's 225, non-typical. Huge, just a giant head though. Kenny Fowler, 257, bow kill, Kansas. 1988. I was a kid. I remember seeing this in Wildlife and Parks magazine. You talk about wanting to put a rack in my hands. This was one of them. Always loved this deer. I just thought it had a beautiful, graceful, all upright, typical, non-typical look. That's a whopper. Another Kansas giant right here. The Richard Stahl. I about said Kenny Cartwright. The Richard Stahl buck. Kenny and Richard were actually friends. This deer right here. Whew, you talk about a looker. 1992, 246.3. Literally one side is just typical, the other side is non-typical. And there is a ton of inches right there. It's a beautiful set of antlers. Like I said, these are all originals. The Mitch Vacott, 268.5. Norman County, Minnesota, 1974. What a giant mess of horn. It's beautiful. You got the old Bruce Jameson buck up there. 248 it says on their net. Always thought it was 253, but it says 248. The Brian Bice buck. I actually had the privilege to measure that G2 a little bit ago. and I got 18 4/8 on it. Just ridiculous. 256 McDonald County, Illinois. McDonough. That rack is really, really big. I mean, look at that G2. Good Lord. That head right there, I've actually held that in hand. The Frank Plasek, Hill County, Montana, 1968. It is a big rack. It's beautiful. A lot of antler. You got the James Raff. It's one of the most prettiest deer in the world. 231 non-typical, 1977. Well, folks, I gotta get off here shortly. My life on my phone is about out. Grant Gustafson, 250 1/8 non-typical, Boone and Crockett, Rainy Lake, Ontario. Boy, that head is just awesome. Loaded with non-typical points. Very pretty deer. Free Hodge, giant. Well, this is Bass Pro's Bucks and Bulls down at the Wonders of Wildlife Museum in Bass Pro Shop, Springfield, Missouri. It's just incredible. And they got everything here, even deer made of antler.